Hi, welcome to the show. My name is Steve Sexton, and this is the Silver Hair Tsunami Show. You know what? We have a wonderful show for you today. We have Cooking for Life's Melissa Curry. You ever want to be in a position where you can eat the most wonderful food that tastes great, like chocolate cake, and not have all those pounds coming on you or add the extra thighs? We've got Melissa's great segment. You're going to want to see that. We have Dr. Paul talking about the abuses that happen during the holiday seasons or get stepped up and what effects they have to us and how we can prevent them. And then we have Doug. Doug's going to talk to us about the tax tips we need to know before the end of the year. Stick with us. We got a great show for you. Hi, you know what? We're about a week away from Christmas and about 12 days from a new year. There's a couple things you want to get done just before all the holiday stuff goes crazy and you're hanging out with the family, and next thing you know, it's 2017. Number one, make sure you've made your contributions to your IRAs or your 401ks. Even if you're married and your spouse doesn't work and your income's under $191,000, you can contribute up to $6,500 to her IRA, even if she doesn't work. So it's really important you max those out. Next, take a look at taxes. There's multiple ways to lower and eliminate taxes, but you don't know unless you give your CPA a call and ask them for a list of the things you need to look at or contribute to lower or eliminate your taxes for 2016. Your estate plan, big issues. 50% of people don't have an estate plan. You know what? People pass away all the time, but half of them pass away without having a will or trust. If you don't have a will or trust, this is the time of year. Give your family a Christmas gift, and that's a will or trust, because that way if you pass away suddenly, hey, your family's life won't be in a mess. Now, the last and most important thing when you look at those contributions to those charities, make sure you're looking at one that actually gives 90 to 100% of the money that you give to the charity and the people who need it. So check out the backgrounds of the charity. Most importantly, know that your $5, $10, $15, $20, $100, $500 will make a difference. Everyday people gave $436 million last year to charities, and they made a big difference, and so can you. That's the tip of the day. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year. Alcohol, we all drink alcohol, but for some reason, this time of the year, sometimes people abuse alcohol. And, you have effects such as getting DUIs and things like that, but there's health effects. This is the reason why we have the Director of Medicine at the Mission Valley Medical Clinic, Dr. Lawrence Pohl, here to help us with this. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be back.
I'm really glad you're here because the previous segments, you talked about balance, breast cancer, and many other things about preventive medicine. You know what? Alcohol abuse during the holiday season is big. Loneliness, many different reasons for people having it. But I think it's important to understand what are the effects on the body and, what should people be thinking?
Yeah. Well, 'tis the season, which is great, but we don't want to celebrate too much. And if we do celebrate and we do drink, then we don't want to drive with the drinking. So I just wanted to give you some basic facts about alcohol. Some people say, well, I only drink beer. Well, the fact is that one beer equals one glass of wine, which equals 1 ounce of hard liquor. And the beers are even stronger now, so that may be skewed in another direction. And if you have four beers, then you're going to be at legal intoxication. And there's a 3 times increased incidence of accidents at legal intoxication, 0.08. Now, I might add that legal intoxication may be even lower in other countries. Sometimes there's 0 tolerance in Australia. Steve was just telling me 0.05. So perhaps 4 is too much. So we want to let people know that, and that the couple fallacies. Beer is not benign, or wine. I only drink wine, I only drink beer. There's that equivalence. Now, so as I said, to get to legal intoxication, 4 beers or 4 ounces of hard liquor or 4 glasses of wine. Binge drinking, you don't have to drink every day. Binge drinking can be equally problemsome and cause problems to the same areas of the body as drinking on a daily basis. What can alcohol do? Well, first of all, let's talk about accidents because, we see it so much during the holidays. That's why the highway patrol are out. That's why the police are out, because there's a lot of accidents. And what's the factor? Alcohol. So just by getting to legal intoxication at 0.08, you have a 3 times increased incidence of getting into an accident. If you drink 10 or 12 beers or glasses of wine, which is not that unusual, plenty of people do it, not that I'm suggesting it, there's a 30 times increased incidence of getting into an accident.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, those factors are really important. Now, it depends on the metabolism of the alcohol also. Now, it's good if you're going to drink, eat some food with it, because that's going to allow it not to go quite as high, your alcohol level, and you're not going to have the impairment and the judgment problems that people get when they drink. Now, if you have champagne, sparkling wine, that's going to increase the blood level.
Oh, why is that?
The carbonation enhances the absorption.
Oh, okay.
So you get a higher blood level for the same amount of champagne. You know, that my mother used to always say, I get tipsy. So that's from the champagne. And the other fallacy is the caffeine, the coffee. They give you coffee, you know, with the old Lucy movies where they give you drinking coffee to get rid of the alcohol. Doesn't work. All you have is a person who's awake and hyped up, you know, on the alcohol. So adverse effects, you know, alcohol. The most common things that I see in primary care are effects on the blood pressure. I'll see a blood pressure elevated, and I ask the person, do they drink? Well, yeah, I have 4 or 5 beers on the weekends each night, and it's already Tuesday, and they're in for a physical, and their blood pressure is elevated. So even though they're only drinking twice a week, their blood pressure is elevated, and all the concomitant problems with stroke and heart attacks that you can suffer from that. So that's one of the most common ones. And the other one I see, you know, a lot of people drink 1 or 2 glasses of wine a night because they say that it may decrease the incidence of heart disease, which may well be true. But there's all these other adverse effects that can happen. So I can't tell you how many times I have people come into the office and I feel their abdomen and their liver's enlarged. And I ask them, I say, well, do you drink? And yeah, well, you know, we have a couple of glasses of wine every night. You know, so that's 14 glasses of wine. The National Institute of Alcohol and Alcoholism states that anything more than 10 to 12 beers or a glass of wine or liquor, as we talked about, you're in the abuse category. So,
are you talking about a weekly or daily?
Weekly.
Wow.
Yeah, weekly.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's, as I say, a lot of people do it, you know, and not everybody gets the adverse effects, but I get, as I say, I see it quite often. I see the abdomen, and the liver's enlarged, and you know, there's various stages of liver disease. You've heard of fatty liver. Fatty liver can get onto alcoholic hepatitis, which is inflammation, and then you've all heard of scarring and cirrhosis, you know, and even liver cancer. So those are other adverse effects. Those are the most common. It can affect the heart. Now, again, there may be some preventative if you drink a glass of wine 3 or 4 times a week, but it causes a cardiomyopathy, which is a weakening of the muscle of the heart, and it's irreversible. So the heart doesn't pump properly. It can cause the blood pressure issues that I mentioned, and it could cause an increased incidence of strokes, actually. And accidents for this time of year are most problemsome, and I just encourage all of you to really kind of take it easy. And if you do drink and you feel at all intoxicated, don't drive. Call an Uber or whatever you want to call a taxi.
Dr. Pohl, thank you so much for sharing this on the show today, because this is a big topic. We don't want anybody getting a DUI, but we also don't want them going through those health issues, because those are more painful and horrendous on not only them, but the family. So thank you again for being on the show. Appreciate it. We'll look forward to seeing you again in the future.
My pleasure. Thank you.
If you'd like more information on alcoholism, or you'd just like to get in touch with Dr. Pohl, he's the medical director at the Mission Valley Medical Clinic. And you can go to the Silver Hair Tsunami website or go to the MissionValleyMedicalClinic.com. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Hi, wouldn't you like to go to one of those holiday parties, eat a big chocolate cake, and not worrying about expanding your thighs or your waist? No sugar, no gluten. Oh, it doesn't make you feel bad the next day, the whole shot. That's why we have Cooking for Life's Melissa Curry here with us to help us with holiday eating tips that are healthy. And by the way, I get to eat chocolate at the end of this. Hey, welcome to the show, Melissa.
You're right, Steve. At the end, you get chocolate cake.
Okay. So help us with some, healthy holiday eating tips.
Well, the thing that happens this time of year is we tend to go to those parties, and what are the things that we eat and drink? A lot of sugars, a lot of fats, and we intake those, and then at the end of the year, our New Year's resolution is, I want to lose that 10 pounds that I gained in 2016.
I'm with you.
So really what you want to do is it's two things, right? It's basically about exercise and about eating the right food and the food choices. So I have some great tips that'll help you guys when you go to your holiday parties this year.
Perfect.
So tip number one is you exercise. Since it's 80% diet and 20% exercise, right? Or it could even be 90-10. You want to make sure when you get up in the morning that you start out with a walk. So get a little bit of movement going into your day. And even if it's exercise, it could be Pilates, you could do a yoga class. Just when you're at your work environment, if you want to go out in a half an hour in the daytime and take a little walk, or even park your car a long ways away from where you need to go into the store and add some exercise that way.
Oh, okay.
You've probably heard of the little tip, don't take the elevators, take the stairs.
Don't do that, but I should.
Yeah, well, we're all like that. And then so if you add the exercise in, it's called bringing it to your consciousness or awareness, because consciousness and awareness in your eating are the two things that are going to help bring it so your waistline doesn't expand. So when we think about consciousness, I have an app I love. It's called MyFitnessPal, and it's a free app, and what it does is it tracks your calories. Now, I'm not a big proponent of tracking calories, more so than tracking nutrition, but again, it's like bringing what you can eat. And I'm going to call it empty calories, right? So we know we're going to a party. You probably got some good parties coming down the pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So we're going to a party. We're going to start our day out walking and exercising. And then when we go, we're going to stay away from the empty calories, meaning the carbs, like you just said, the gluten, right? So bring your own dish. A dish that you know is going to be a healthy dish that you can eat and consume without feeling fat and bloated the next day. So you bring a vegetable platter and you go, and of course they're going to have this beautiful spray, right? And it's going to have the cheese platter. It's going to have that heavy, thick, gooey artichoke dip that everybody loves to eat. But where does that go?
Oh, yeah.
Straight to the waist.
Right here.
Yep, yeah, or here, or wherever. So when you take and you pick your cheese platter, then you can take your cucumber and you can put your cheese on your cucumber. You can take then and utilize that instead of eating the chips for the salsa. You can take and put the vegetables in the salsa. So that's a nice way to trim the extra calories. Then, of course, water. We need to make sure that we're getting a lot of water into our drinking, into our body, right? So if we're going to drink wine or whatever your drink is, then alternate it. Drink some wine, drink some water. Drink some wine, drink some water. And that'll help you feel better the next morning so you're not all sluggish.
It's also good for the drive home.
Yes, right? Yeah.
Especially this time of year.
It's awesome. Yeah, well, yeah, because they're checking.
Oh, yeah.
So then you want to, when you look at the party, you want to think about what are they going to have? They're going to have chicken wings, right? They're going to have nice, heavy, fattening food. So try to focus more on the vegetable and the fruit side instead of eating those things that are just going to go into your belly like a rock, right? Let's see, some other tips for going to the holiday parties are balance. Stop eating, right? Stop. Go talk, interject, right? And stop eating around 8 or 9 o'clock, right? Because that's when you're going to go home, you're going to go to bed, and those calories that you just ate that turn into sugar convert to fat, and then where do they go?
Yep.
Right there.
I call it eating like a sumo wrestler. Because basically what they do is they eat a big old bouillabaisse type lunch, and then they go take a nap so they can keep up their girth.
Oh.
Nobody wants to really keep up their girth when they're trying to keep it looking nice.
No, that's right? So instead of gaining that extra 5 to 7 pounds every single year, we want to go the opposite direction. And it's really lifestyle, Steve.
So you got to tell me about this chocolate cake I've been smelling. It looks awesome and it smells great. So.
Well, my amazing mother made it for us. My mother put all these wonderful vegetables. We have carrots, zucchini, purple cabbage, yellow squash, and some onion. Now, onion, of course, anti-inflammatory. Carrots help with your eyes, right? Zucchini and squash, great for your cellular regeneration. And then we didn't use any oil in here. So we baked it, and it's got about 16 essential vitamins and minerals.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be delicious.
Yeah.
Are you ready to try some?
Oh, yeah.
Are you sure?
Okay, come
Have you
on
been
now.
a good boy this year?
No. Oh, I've been looking at this cake forever. So, please, please, please.
I hope it's good.
It's chocolate cake. You don't want to see me eat. Melissa, thank you so very, very much for coming on the show. It's wonderful to help people stay healthy with their eating habits during the holidays. Because, you know, I just finished Thanksgiving and ate 2 of them and overate, and I probably gained 5-6 pounds just in 4 days. So I'm looking to keep that off, and I want to thank you for that. And I know my wife and all the lady friends that we have want the same thing. So thank you so much for helping us out today.
Our pleasure, Steve. Thank you for having me.
If you would like to learn more about cooking for life, you want to go to the Silver Hair Tsunami website. And you know what? Stick with us. We'll be right back with more fun stuff. Hey, this is the happiest time of the year, or so we say. What if you have to deal with loss? Loss of a family member, a job, health, financial disaster. What do you do? What about those times when you go to the family events, especially Christmas, and you know what? You have somebody in the family that might owe you money, you have an argument with them, and it's not the best relationship. This is the reason why we have Paula Shawn today, Senior Transition Specialist. She's the author of the best-selling book, Grief, When Will the Pain Ever End? Paula, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. Always a pleasure to be here.
You know what? I am so happy you're here today, and the reason being is because so many people are dealing with a loss of a loved one. It could be a spouse. You know what? They could be lonely because of that loss of the spouse, and because they're not part of the group anymore, the couples group, they're not being invited to certain events.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? People are losing jobs because you have financial disasters. People are having health issues and dealing with that. You know what? The biggest thing is, how do we go about dealing with those things?
You know, it's really a tough time for people dealing with the loss issues you talked about and so many more, because everybody looks so happy at this time of year, right? It's the happiest time of the year. And everybody seems to be about joy and fun and celebration. And when you're not in that emotional frame of mind or that emotional state, you feel out of it. And that increases your sense of isolation. And isolation is really the core of the problem that we're looking at. Because when you feel out of it, when you feel like you're the only one, then it's like, it's depressing. It can cause depression. It can cause sadness. It can cause fear. It can cause anxiety. It can cause so many things that disconnect people even more. So what do? Because it's tough. And not a good idea, by the way, to put on the I'm fine face and show up at all the events when you can't really feel that. I encourage my clients all the time to be authentic. If you're sad at this time of year, you know, it doesn't mean you have to go to all the parties and cry, but it does mean honor that within yourself. Maybe you don't feel like going to the parties. Say no. Don't go to all of those things. If you're dealing with the kinds of loss we were just discussing, this is a different year. And you may actually hurt yourself by trying to push yourself to do all of those things that you've always done before. So cutting back is critical. No is a complete sentence. That's all we have to say. No, thank you, but no. And it's so much better, I think, to spend the time with people that are comfortable, that you're close to, maybe light the fire, snuggle up, read a good book. That would feel a whole lot better if you're emotionally hurting than it would to go to the party and have all of the conversations that are just work for you.
Now, is this a good time, especially with loss of somebody, a spouse, to possibly set up a new tradition?
You read my mind. I totally encourage people to be open to doing things differently, especially if we're looking at a death or a divorce, even a move. You know, people don't always think of a move as a loss, but it is, because you lost everything that was familiar to you before.
All those memories.
Yes. So everything's different. If we don't do things differently, A, we're denying reality, and B, we really set ourselves up for a tougher situation. So it's a great idea to explore new ways of doing things. Maybe you go to a different church or have something different for dinner. You know, if it was always the family tradition to decorate the tree together and now mom or dad's not there, then maybe we do that differently this year.
Okay, now, a lot of the family outings, Okay, you have somebody there that you just don't get along with. You know, I did a segment a couple weeks back on loaning money to relatives, and then they don't pay you, and you see them at the party, or you have an argument over something, or you know somebody's the backhanded compliment specialist, and you know what? How do you deal with those things so you can have a good time at the party?
That's a great question, because we all know that holiday time is family time. And sometimes that's wonderful, and sometimes that's not so wonderful, because with our families come all the old arguments, perhaps the old debts, you know, all of those things, the years of history that we have that may or may not be conducive to a joyful gathering. So I would encourage our viewers to focus on what's important. The core of why we're getting together in the first place, the joy of the holidays, the celebration of love, the joy of giving, you know, that kind of thing. Try to avoid those conversations that you know are going to create the argument or an unpleasant encounter. Those can be had after the first of the year. There's plenty of time.
Thank you, Paula. This is wonderful, because you know what? Everybody needs to know how to deal with those lovely ones that are part of the family that you can't get away from them. It's just the way it is. Sometimes it's an in-law, sometimes it's a brother or sister, and sometimes it's just that crazy aunt or uncle.
That's right. Well, I think the old saying was, are they in-laws or are they outlaws?
Well, we
sometimes they can be both.
In the financial world, sometimes it's called the in-law pirate. Hey, thank you so much. I wish a wonderful, happy, healthy holiday for you.
Thank you, Steve, and to you.
Yes, and we're going to look forward to seeing you in the next year.
My pleasure.
Hey, for more information, you want to go to the Silver Hair Tsunami website. Again, if you'd like to purchase that book or obtain that book, Grief, When Will the Pain Ever End?, written by Paula Shaw, obviously go to the Silver Hair Tsunami website. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
My name is Mike Peters and my wife Cindy. We've been residents of Escondido for over 40 years, and we've been really happy with Baker Solar. Being a banker, I'm a numbers guy, and I looked at the numbers very seriously before I chose solar. Right now, my savings is about $3,000 a year. As the 20-year lease goes on, I'll be saving more, so I'm extremely happy with the system.
Lots of people watched the installation and a lot of questions, and I just have to tell them it's all worked out great. We're saving lots of money. It's paying off big time.
My name's Kevin Grangetto. I live in Escondido, California, and I had my system put in by Baker Electric Solar. When they got here, they were ready to go. Started early, 6 in the morning. They parked off site, so they were able to get everything in on the roof, hooked up, and done in a matter of 3 days. And it was really easy for my wife and I to work with them. You just don't want a lot of these challenges to be, you know, affecting the way that you do your life. And when they got in and out of here, it was excellent. It was easy. It's just the way they told me it would be.
Hi, you know what? Taxes are coming up. It's like going to the dentist when you do your taxes, because you got to pay the CPA, you've got to pay the IRS. It's no fun. But you know what? I have Doug from Jennings Financial. He's going to make your taxes sexy. Why? Because he's going to tell you what you need to do before the end of the year to have more money come back to you. Here's Doug.
Where I come from, tax time is 365 days a year. And if you want to lower your taxes, now's the time to do it. The key is planning. Let me give you a little history on taxation in our country before we start. From 1776 until 1913, never did we have an income tax in this country. And it's interesting to me that in a little over a century, our country without taxation becomes the strongest country ever to inhabit the planet Earth. We're also in transition right now because we have a new president, and he's bringing capitalism as opposed to socialism to the agenda. So what we have to do now is design your taxes. There are two types of taxpayers in this country. Either you have a sole proprietorship or a business, or you don't. So therefore, let me start with those that do not. In the event that you have a high income and you'd like to lower your taxes, there are only a few things you can do. You can have higher itemized deductions, a larger mortgage on your home, pay your property taxes, make charitable contributions. But what you don't hear from your tax advisor is you should take your hobbies and your investments and make them a business. Form a Schedule Subchapter S corporation. What you don't know is that your favorite vegetable should be corn. In fact, Internal Revenue Code Section 162 says whatever is corn, customary ordinary, reasonable, and necessary is a legitimate tax deduction on a Subchapter S corporation tax return. If you have rental properties, you should consider the establishment of a California limited partnership. Note that I did not say a California limited liability company. California has socialism, and they have a gross receipts tax on your limited liability companies. So let's be careful. Start off with a living trust. That's where your personal income should be. Establish a Subchapter S corporation, and you're going to get deductions like you've never seen. I've even brought several schedules that I have schedules and schedules of deductions from advertising to Xerox that you can write off if you have a business. First, you can deduct your car, all the oil, gas, lube, tires, repairs, maintenance, insurance. And then if your business has a Section 105 medical reimbursement plan, do you know that if you set up the right type of corporation, all of your health insurance and all of your copay, drugs, prescriptions, doctors, dentists, for you, your spouse, your dependent children are fully deductible. Then what you want to do is ask yourself, what kind of retirement plans do I have? Because in the event that you have a corporation, you can establish a medical reimbursement. In addition to your medical reimbursement plan, you can establish a 401k profit sharing plan. You can establish a defined benefit pension plan. You can't make enough money that I can't save you taxes. What you do is plan. Come in and visit me, Doug Jennings at Jennings Financial Group. We are a law firm and accounting firm combined. We have lawyers and CPAs under one roof. We're the only place you can go and get all of your estate planning, tax planning, and investment planning in one location. If you wish to call us, our phone number is 858-457-1224. 858-457-1224. If you would like to email, you can go to djennings@jenningsfinancialsd.com. Ask for Chrissy, my right-hand person. She will set up a complimentary initial visit. Bring your most recent tax return. I've never met the client. I can't cut their taxes in half. Bring your last will or trust, and we'll review all of these items for you in our first visit on a complimentary basis. On the most important part, bring your spouse. You're a team. We'll do it together, and we look forward to visiting with you. Jennings Financial Group, it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
You know what? We had a wonderful show. Wasn't that chocolate cake great? Thank you, Melissa Curry from Cooking for Life. If you'd like to get more information, go to the Silver-Haired Tsunami website. We also had Dr. Paul giving us some information we need to know to protect our health, especially with the abuses this time of the year. And Doug, it's going to make taxes sexy. Why? Because they're going to go back into your pocket. We're so thankful for Doug for sharing those things with us. You know what? For more information, you want to go to the Silver-Haired Tsunami website. You can see additional segments. All the segments are educational, and they're about helping you make prudent, informed financial decisions. Also follow us on Facebook. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas if we don't see you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.